So then Susan will introduce herself, and then I know, so it's like,
I don't like coffee. My sister does like coffee, but I don't.
to stay, we try not to, you know, it is. That's the other reason
Fancy coffee.
I don't know if Michelle, there were a bunch of papers. Did she talk to you about them that were right here, that were yours?
That's them. Yep.
If you don't take them, put them in the recycling.
Well, I just didn't. But we didn't want to throw them out unless it was a community. They were Are we ready?
I'm ready, but this is here. I'll just throw them here and I'll take them home and recycle.
Okay. And there's a recycling bin.
I didn't. Yeah. I just. It was like he goes, "Oh, just recycle." I'm like, well, I'm just supposed to be up front right now.
All right, here we go. Yeah, I think, okay, the slides are up, so we're good. And we will not be singing the children out, we will be saying the words because that music wasn't communicated into the. Yeah. Okay.
But I think you're doing all that. So I don't have to do that. Don't worry about it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to this community of seekers, of questioners, and those open to the revelation that comes from experiences with one another and with the Spirit of life. May we remember that while we have some answers, we don't have all the answers. While we know some things, we don't know all the things. And while we have lived, others have lived different experiences that are very different than our own. Welcome to this community full of questions and full of possibilities. Good morning, my friends. My name is Michelle Townsend Grove, and I use she, her pronouns. We are open today the words of Alexis Engelbrecht, who wrote the words in which I read earlier. They titled this, Welcome to this Community of Seekers. It is good to be with you all, my friends. It is a lovely day. You all could be out in a park playing Frisbee, and yet you chose to be here. That is a gift for us, and I hope it will also be a gift for you. Thank you for being a part.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Susan Perry, and I also use she, her pronouns. I serve this congregation on the Finance and Endowment Committees and the Pastoral Care Team. I am co-leading our service this morning as a worship associate. Welcome to our special place. At the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Quad Cities, we welcome all people to our beloved community, of whatever age, race, class, ethnicity, physical ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or religious background. We welcome especially those joining us for the first time. We live stream our services, and those recordings are then saved in our UUCQC YouTube channel. If you do not wish to appear in these recordings, you may sit under the owl's nest by the bookshelves. We invite everyone to join us downstairs after service for coffee, snacks, and conversation. Thank you for joining us this morning.
As Susan lights the chalice, let us hear these words from Reverend Michelle Collins. We light this small fire under a vast and intricate universe. Somewhere a star collapses, a seed splits open, a new element is glimpsed. Here we notice our own small corner of that mystery. Let this flame remind us that asking how things work is a kind of awe. That was beautiful. Thank you for that. And now you may rise in body or spirit as you're able and willing. Let us sing out of the great hymnal, number 298, the 3 verses of Wake Now My Senses. Let us praise.
Please remain lifted up in the spirit of love and fellowship. Let us now, acknowledge the holy in our midst by briefly greeting those around us, especially those we do not know.
All right. Okay, so where are all those wonderful children and youth and adults of all ages who consider themselves children? Who wants to come up and hear a story? It's good to see you all. I hope you've had a good weekend. And I know, raise your hand if you're really sad that school is almost over. Yeah. Okay, watch this. Raise your hand if you're really sad that school is almost over. Yeah. Okay, you ready to hear a story?
Yes.
This is a wisdom tale, and it is about a father and 4 children. The father wanted the children to learn about the world, but he did so by sending them to visit one tree. He sent the first child in the winter to see this tree, and it was a pear tree, a tree that makes beautiful fruit. So the child made the trip and went through the woods and all the orchards and came to the tree and visited with the tree, and then came back home and said, "Oh, that was no fun. It was cold and the tree was gnarly and all kind of bent. There was no color, just a kind of brown gray. I did not find anything exciting about that tree." Well, the next child was sent to go see it in the spring, and that child also made that trip, right, through the woods and into the orchard and found the pear tree. And then came home and reported to the family, "That was a beautiful tree. There were these light buds and some flowers, and it looked promising, like there was hope." Well, then the father sent the 3rd child in the summer, and that child made that same trip through the forest into the orchard. And then at that point he said, he saw the tree, and then he came back and he said, "Oh, that tree was gorgeous. It was lush. It was a warm day and the leaves were green and there was a light breeze and the sound of the wind going through the breeze was beautiful." And then in the fall, the father sent the 4th child. And after that trip, he got there and he saw the tree and he came home and he was so excited. He said, "That tree was full of fruit. It had these luscious fruits and it was delicious." And they said, "We all had these different experiences. How could we have all seen the same tree and had 4 very different experiences?" And the father said, That is an important thing to remember where you meet people and where you go places. For everybody will have a different experience. But this is the important thing. It's not just about your experience. It's about the experience of the whole. So I hope, my friends, that when you experience something, you tell your story, but also listen to the stories of others, because they might be different and they will help your story expand. Blessed be, my friends. Now today, we will not be singing you all to your classes. We're going to be saying the words, okay? So let's all say the words together as the children and youth head to RE. You ready? Let's see. Now's the time to find your way. Here is where you start. May love and peace illuminate a path to lead your heart. Learn and grow from all you do. See joy in everything that's new. Let awe and wonder guide you through, and trust the light that lives in you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Mindy Smith-Pace as part of the pastoral care team and many other teams here. As we gather today, we pause to reflect on what lies in our hearts. In this time of sharing, we take a moment to recognize our personal joys and sorrows and read from the book of Joys and Sorrows for those personal life events that you have chosen to share with us. Today we have one joy because of a sorrow. Gates sends his heartfelt thanks to all of the people in our congregation for their thoughtfulness and compassion in the last 2 weeks, and for their presence at his dad's visitation and funeral on Tuesday. Are there any joys or sorrows upstairs?
No.
Thank
ma'am.
you. For what has been shared and what remains in the quiet sanctuary of our hearts, we are grateful. Let us become aware of the energy that brings us together today in beloved community as we share a time of silent meditation. We will enter a time of musical meditation when you are invited to come forward and light a candle. May we discover a sense of peace and fulfillment in the quiet, in the music, and in the light.
We continue with the story of Inanzi and the clay pot, a wisdom tale from Ghana, West Africa. Inanzi, the spider, loves to spin a tale. He can regale you for hours with stories full of wonder, stories full of fun, and stories full of facts, too. Because he is so nosy, Inanzi knows almost everything about almost everybody. Almost. But Anansi wants to know everything, so one day he goes to the house of the sun god. "Oh, mighty sun god, you see everything and everyone. Won't you share your great wisdom with me? I'll use it wisely to spin tales of wonder and fun for everyone." The sun god says, "Anansi, I will put all the wisdom in the world here in this clay pot. You must share this wisdom with everyone." Inanzi promises to do so. Inanzi takes the pot home. He looks deep into the clay pot, and sure enough, he sees sights he has never seen before. He hears sounds he did not know existed. "This is too good to give away. I will keep this great wisdom for myself," thinks Inanzi. "I must hide it," he says, and he looks around for a good hiding place. Inanzi decides to climb to the top of the tallest tree. There he will tie up the clay pot, and the leafy branches will hide it. He starts climbing the tree, holding the pot in front of him. This climbing is hard. Have you ever climbed a tree while holding a pot? Inanzi wishes he had 9 limbs. His youngest daughter is outside and sees what a hard time Inanzi is having. "Father, it would be easier if you tied the pot to your back. Then all your limbs would be free for climbing." Do you think Inanzi is happy to get good advice from his daughter? Think again. She is right. That would be easier. Why is it some young pup thinks of this when I, who possess all the wisdom of the world, did not? Inanzi gets so angry that he throws the pot to the ground. All the wisdom of the world comes flowing out of the pot. Some falls here, some falls there. No one gets all the wisdom, but everyone gets some wisdom. This is why, even today, wisdom is everywhere. If you listen to the stories spun from storytellers all around the world, you will hear it. This congregation is a theologically diverse religious community with membership open to all who are in accord with our values, mission, and vision. Our congregation is entirely self-governed through the democratic process. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all of the financial support for our many ministries from amongst ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and our institutional well-being. This month's undesignated plate offering will go to the UUA. Each year, we offer one of our Share the Plate designations to the UUA, from which we receive so much support. This is an opportunity for us to support their services and staff. From their semi-annual magazine to their annual General Assembly, there are a multitude of offerings you can access online. For example, we use their Soul Matters curriculum to support our lay-led services. Our teams and staff review resources on administrative policies, religious education, programming, and so much more, all from the UUA. We invite you now to participate in the blessing of giving as the ushers come among you to accept the gifts of the congregation. Please be as generous as you are able. For all the gifts of time and treasure that you give to this congregation, with sincere thank you, we extend our gratitude.
All right, my friends. So, in 2013, the Telegraph Herald, which is a British newspaper, headlined the following story. Quote unquote, this is the title. Mother asks nearly 300 questions a day, study finds. The research demonstrated in this article went on to explain that a survey and extensive research was done to discover that 4-year-old British girls ask on average 390 questions a day. Well, a 4-year-old boy, a British boy, asks a similar number, just a little bit less, according to the research. The researcher did the math. This averages out to 1 question every 1 minute and 56 seconds during their waking hours. Moms are asked more questions than dads. Here's a quote from the article. A quarter of the children, 24%, said they go to their mothers first because if they have a question for their dad, they will say, "Ask your mom." The article compared this number to the questions that the Prime Minister fields each day. This is fascinating. According to the Telegraph article, moms fielded on average 24 questions an hour, while the Prime Minister Cameron, who was the Prime Minister in 2013, answered 23. And moms do it without a press team or a research team or backup staff. My friends, this whole area of questions is the focus of today, so just settle in. Warren Berger, the author of a book called A More Beautiful Question, says this, and I quote, "Chances are for the rest of her life, that 4-year-old girl will never ask again questions as instinctively, as imaginatively, or as freely as she does at that shining moment. Unless she is exceptional, that age is her questioning peak." And according to Paul Harris, a Harvard child psychologist, the window for solid question development is between the ages of 2 and 5, with 4 being the peak. He notes that according to the research, and he used advanced brain scans as a part of this research, rapid brain growth and, even more important, rapid connections are forming in the brain. Warren Berger then again in the book speaks to this. He says, "The lab scans reveal an explosion of connection. The synapses between the neurons of the young children's brains amounting to about a quadrillion connections, or more than 3 times the number in an adult brain." Kids' brains are constantly connecting stimuli or thoughts. And yet, sadly, my friends, this questioning behavior starts to die off. There's not a lot of understanding onto the complexities of why, and some of the reasons given might be correlations or not. We're not really sure. But there is research that was completed by the Right Question Institute. Yes, there is a Right Questions Institute in 2009, and it demonstrated that as children learn to read and write, their questioning behavior decreases. And with this decrease in questioning, behavior becomes a decrease in school and learning engagement. In other words, my friends, kids start to engage less as they stop asking questions, and it's during this time of school. Now, my friends, there's a lot of reasons why that might be, but it's a good thing just to note for us to reflect about it. Because, my friends, think about this. When we ask questions, it is one way in which we are engaged. A 2012 Gallup poll, which surveyed nearly 500,000 students between grades 5 and 12, so 5th to 12th grade, from more than 1,700 different schools in this nation, they discovered that 76% of elementary school students are engaged, 61% in middle school, and then it drops to 44% in high school. There is a correlation, and there's probably multiple factors to why, but there is a correlation between questioning and engagement. As students ask less and less questions, do they become less and less engaged? Maybe. There are more about questions and questioning, my friends, that deserves exploration. And this, my friends, is important for us. For the exploration is not only about the number of questions we ask, the real exploration, my friends, and dare I say the more important exploration, is about what kinds of questions are we asking. Krista Tippett, how many here know Krista Tippett? Yeah, look at my NPR people around, right? Krista Tippett, who is an Oklahoma native and a journalist who began her career as a correspondent in Berlin during the Cold War. In the 1990s, she took a bit of a turn and she went to Yale Theological Divinity School. And out of that, that's how when she came out, she intersected her journalism and her questioning spirit around theology and faith and developed the show called Speaking of Faith in 2003. Now, the show has evolved to a program called On Being, and it continues to be an NPR favorite, and it even has a podcast. In 2022, Krista Tippett recorded an 8-minute podcast, a soliloquy, and she did it on this idea of questioning. I would like to read you a quote from that. It's a powerful podcast, and if I remember, I'll put the link to it in the newsletter so that you all can listen to it because it's powerful. Tippett says this: I find a question to be a mighty form of words, and I have learned a few things about questions. I have learned that questions elicit answers in their likeness, that answers rise and fall to the questions they meet. We've all seen this. We've all experienced it. It's very hard to respond to a combative question with anything but a combative answer. It's almost impossible to transcend a simplistic question with anything but a simplistic answer. But the opposite is also true. It's hard to resist a generous question. This is a skill that needs relearning, but I believe that we all have it in us to ask questions that invite, that draw forth searching and dignity and revelation. There is something redemptive and life-giving about asking a better question. I'm going to quote her one more time with that last sentence, my friends. There is something redemptive and life-giving about asking a better question. Maybe Krista Tippett's giving this sermon today. That is powerful stuff and something I hope you'll take to reflect on. Her words hit me smack between the eyes. And by the way, this is this resource I found as a part of the Soul Matters curriculum for this month, where the theme is awakening curiosity. Her words about questioning, especially that quote that I just read to you, have put me in quite the reflective space. And I have been wondering about my own question asking and my own ability to ask questions ever since I listened to this several weeks ago. How can we utilize the art of questioning for deep healing in a community, in our nation, and in our world? How have my own personal questions evolved to be more collaborative? How are they more creative or innovative, or are they? How much more do I need to grow in the art of questioning? I have reflected on my own questions as I have witnessed current transitions in our nation and in our government. A couple of years ago, as our nation and government went through some major changes, my question sounded a little bit like this. How could this be happening? What did those people do to allow this to occur? What more could I have done to create a different outcome? Since then, though, my friends, I believe that my questions are evolving to a better space. Now I'm reflecting on questions like, what does a majority of our nation and its population want or need that created the current state of our nation and its government? What roles do power, greed, and fear play in our current state of our nation and our world? And what questions have I not thought to ask? And who have I not asked them? Who do I need to be in relationship with right now to ensure a vital future where all humanity and all creation are cared for? I invite you to reflect on that question with me. I believe that our community is encouraged, maybe we're even called, to reflect on these questions and the questions that we have yet to ask. Somewhere we're missing something, and a part of asking the right question is found in building relationships with people that we might not agree with. One of the reasons it is believed that we ask less questions as we grow older is because we're trained not to. Our parents' impatience may be a deterrent. Our school system is not based on curiosity. It is based on filling our brains with information and knowledge. And even in workplaces, the CEOs who are normally quite inquisitive are the ones who discourage questions. My friends, what would it look like if we developed a culture of questioning that also holds fast our ethnic, culture, and gender and sexuality differences? What if we also made room for the different ways we see the world, the different ways we process information and interact in our daily lives? After all, we're all different in the way we experience. How better adapted would we be to finding amazing solutions to life's big problems if we provided more space for questions, for wonder, and for reflection? Is production what our world needs? Is production what our congregation needs? Do we need to make drastic shifts to a new way of seeing progress and success? My friends, as usual, I'm not going to answer those questions today, but I'm going to leave them with you and encourage your space to create even new questions. And if you are able to develop your own questions from today, then I have reached my goal. For I believe that we do have the capacity to develop better, richer, and more engaging questions, and that through our questions and our exploration, we can create a better world for everyone. Blessed be on this journey, my friends. May your questions bring you a renewed sense of energy and engagement. And now I invite you, as I get in to make sure I know where I am. Yes. Let us rise in body and spirit as you're able or willing, and let us sing together hymn number 338. It is found in your gray hymnal, I Seek the Wisdom of a Child. My friends, I invite you to be seated as we do the rest of our service. It is a joy to be together with all of you all today. And in our time together, we find connection and hopefully some spiritual renewal, or at least body renewal in some form. Just know, my friends, though, that there are ways in which we can gather as community, both in small groups and large, and there are other opportunities in which we can engage in to be connected to Unitarian Universalism, our mission, vision, and values, and this congregation. So please hear some of these things that will be important for you to know. Number one, the office will be closed on Memorial Day. That is Monday, the 25th. Today, you have the opportunity, if you wish, to join together with the Drum Circle. They will meet here in the sanctuary from noon to 2, and they meet once a month. All ages are welcome, and all types of experience with drumming is welcome. If you have drums or shakers that you would like to bring, please do. And if not, they have drums that you can use. If you have any questions, you can check with Sarah Martin. She's the coordinator of the Drum Circle. Also, you can join One Human Family and the Quad Cities Immigration Coalition for a public rally on Sunday, May 31st at 3 p.m. It will be held at MLK Park on 5th and Brady to protest the recent ICE arrests of the 8 to 9 immigrants being held at an unknown site in the Quad Cities. In addition, I want us to celebrate all those who make today a wonderful reality. Those who bring food for us afterwards in Fellowship Hall, those who run sound and tech, we might not see them, those who created the slides, and our guest accompanist. Peggy, what a delight to have you. So in addition, I just encourage you to watch the newsletter for other amazing events that will be coming, and there's even a calendar on the back of your order of service. So now let us extinguish our chalice. As Susan extinguishes our chalice, let us join together in these words. We have wandered together for a little while. Now the wider world awaits, with its own riddles and revelations. Walk gently, listening for the quiet what if beneath the noise of our everyday lives. May curiosity keep your spirit open and your heart ardent. Hear these words as our closing. Be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves. Like locked rooms and like books in a very foreign tongue, do not now seek the answers which cannot be given because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without even noticing, live along some distant day into the answer. Blessed be, and may we remain seated and enjoy the postlude.